Hello everybody, this is David Taylor, and I am signing in to answer a question that was given to me. So, what's the question? I'm going to read it to you. The question is, hi, dear David, I would like to have some information regarding what to do to have a healthy marriage. I didn't get the advice growing up because my parents didn't have a healthy marriage, and I do not want to recreate the problems of the past. What should I do? Well, dear no name, I'll answer this question. I want to provide 5 points that will help you out. Well, first, let me do this. Let me ask a question. What do you think is the major reason why marriages fail? Do you think it's infidelity? Do you think it's lack of finances, trust issues? What do you think is the main reason why marriages fail? Okay, now that you've answered, that answer is probably wrong. Let me stop. Actually, if you've answered infidelity, trust issues, or financial issues, all three of those are incorrect. I want to talk a little bit about some of the reasons why marriages fail. I want to call these the 4 horsemen to destroying marriages. The first horseman is called criticism. Criticism is when you attack your partner's personality or character. It's when you make statements like, you will never be, or you always, right? It's when you begin to tear down a person's character or personality based off the words that you say. Criticism often leads to the second horseman, which is called defensiveness. That's when you completely guard yourself at the risk of someone else. Or you rebut or refute what the other person is saying with your own criticism. So someone can come to me and give me maybe even some constructive criticism, and automatically before I give them a time to be heard, I attack them. Or I put the spotlight or the blame back on them, shifting the focus of the conversation from me to them. That's often dangerous because it leaves the other person feeling unheard, unappreciated, and overlooked, all for the sake of me guarding me. It's very dangerous, and often, if you notice, we do that kind of by default because humans, we're pleasure-seeking and pain-avoiding creatures, so we don't like pain, we don't like things that make us uncomfortable. And unfortunately, marriages and relationships will make you uncomfortable. So the first horseman is criticism, which often leads to the second horseman, which is defensiveness. The third horseman is called stonewalling. That's when you completely shut down. That's when you, for instance, may go to bed back to back. Or you may completely ignore your partner throughout the entire day. Or when they're trying to discuss a matter with you, you completely tune out. I was going to say zone out, but I put tune and zone together. So zone out, that's a new word. When you completely zone out and ignore what they're saying. Stonewalling can be dangerous because, again, it leaves the other person feeling unheard, unappreciated, overlooked, right? And all for the sake of me protecting me. Lastly, the fourth horseman is called contempt. Contempt is when you completely tear down someone else's personality. You tear down, that was my phone, by the way. You tear down their personality, their character. You attack that person for who they really are. You cause that person to feel inferior or low or bad about themselves. And contempt is very dangerous, and it's often the most deadly of the 4 because it almost taps into past pain. It pulls forth trauma, right, that was maybe buried in that person's past. And when you do that, you begin to tear down the foundation of who they see themselves as, and that can be very dangerous. As a matter of fact, I have a book called Blink by an author. His name is Malcolm Gladwell, and he talks about a research that he had done on that particular subject. And he was with a professor at a university, and the professor said he can predict with a 95% accuracy whether or not a marriage will fail over the next 10 years based off of contempt being in their everyday conversation. And most people, when they talk, they may say things in a condescending tone or maybe more sarcastic than normal, and that can be seen as contempt. And when you do that enough, it begins to cause another person. Again, my phone is ringing. I apologize for that. Very unprofessional. Here we go. But again, it causes the person to feel overlooked and undervalued. So the 4 horsemen: criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling, and contempt. Those things can be very dangerous to securing a healthy foundation for a marriage. Lastly, because I promised 5 points, I want to talk on a ratio. I want to give you a ratio. It's called the 17-to-1 ratio. That's right, 17-to-1 ratio. The 17-to-1 ratio means that for every one negative word that you speak, you have to counteract or balance that with 17 positive words. That's right, you heard correctly. For every one negative word, it's going to take at least 17 positive words to balance the power of that negative word out. That means that if the majority of your conversations have more negative tones or connotations to it, you're going to have to shift how you speak, shift what you say, and add more positive terms of endearment and more positive constructive criticism or critiques to your conversation. 17-to-1 ratio. Your job is to secure the foundation of the relationship. Love, by definition, means to give, to share. It's not what I can receive that makes me love, it's what I give that makes me love. If you can remember that in your relationship, you just might make it. I'm David Taylor. Be happy, be healthy, stay healing. And I'm out until next time.